Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's a question that's certainly been the utopia of reversing time. The fact that when things run backwards in a camera, there's a kind of utopian perfection which we long for but will never achieve. So if you spill a cup of tea, when you reverse time, you don't just get rid of the stain, but you catch every single drop perfectly with this unimaginable skill that somehow you can crawl it back in. So it is about what the world is if entropy didn't exist.
No. No.
Je suis allé voir William à Johannesburg il y a 1 an et demi. Je travaille depuis 10 ans en Afrique du Sud. Je suis allé le voir chez lui et je lui ai posé la question. D'abord, j'ai expliqué un peu le concept de laboratoire. Je voulais savoir s'il était intrigué par une expérience artistique à la frontière de la science. Et il était intéressé, il était très curieux. Et on a passé 2 heures ensemble en parlant de ses intérêts, quoi. Et parmi ses intérêts, il était assez inspiré par les origines de la relativité. 1 mois et demi après, il était à New York et j'ai fait venir mon ami Peter Gallison, qui est aussi professeur à Harvard, physicien et aussi historien des sciences.
Time becomes distance. If you have a measure, say 2 foot long, and you divide this into 48 divisions along its length, and you stay for 1/24 of a second on each division.
I think what made possible the collaboration was that from the beginning we both saw in each other's work a fascination with this moment of late 19th, early 20th century technology that was in a sense extremely contemporary. These were questions that concerned us about the nature of space and time, or the whole function of modernity.
I think the thing about the 19th century was that it's a mechanical world. There are wheels, there are pulleys, there's some electricity, but even the electricity is still so crude that to make a connection from phone to phone, it's no longer the invisible connection of it's not yet the invisible connection of a cell phone, but it's someone taking a cord out of one part of a connection, putting it into another. In the pre-electronic days, the semaphore, the telegraphs were mechanical things that moved. So in terms, if you think of an artist as someone who makes visible things that we know but we can't really see, such as connections, such as points of communication, then the late 19th and early 20th century have a very graphic way of depicting the world. So the machines themselves are like a piece of animation, a piece of drawing.
Nous nous sommes tous réunis à Johannesburg pour ce que William appelle un workshop. En fait, un workshop, c'est la réunion, ou disons le travail expérimental d'improvisation à partir duquel il bâtit l'œuvre. Donc il y a une scénographe qui est belge, une costumière qui est belge aussi, le directeur d'acteurs avait fait l'école Lecoq avec William à Paris il y a quelques années, une vidéaste qui fait aussi tout l'éditing des vidéos, un musicien, compositeur, Philippe Miller, qui est sud-africain.
The music came out of a workshop where the entire team came together, Peter, William, and I brought in a group of musicians from various different genres and styles in terms of South African music. So I worked with a singer and Maskandi guitarist, Bam Tabeni. I worked with 2 wonderful classically trained opera singers. I worked with a Zulu a cappella choir. All these different sort of voices.
Le travail se construit par différentes étapes et couches successives d'improvisation, où il fait défiler par exemple les comédiens utilisant les machines avec une projection qui est en fond de scène, mais il refilme ce défilé, et ensuite il va y rajouter son intervention personnelle comme acteur, artiste, au milieu de la scène. Donc toute cette matière est en fait testée, expérimentée, superposée pour finalement constituer une matrice à partir de laquelle il va à la fois construire une installation qui sera celle qui sera présentée à la Documenta de Cassel en juin 2012. Donc on présente au laboratoire ce qu'on pourrait appeler une esquisse du projet définitif, c'est-à-dire un état de cette recherche avec deux grosses machines qui seront parmi les autres machines présentées à Cassel. On présente également donc cette vidéo qui est une création précisément pour l'exposition qui associe à la fois ce qu'on a appelé The Lecture de Peter Gallison quand il racontait l'histoire du temps, mais retraduite par William Kentridge qui a tendance à désynchroniser cette histoire, à la manipuler, à tenter de créer des liens historiques et en même temps nous renvoyer à ce qui sera la fin de cette histoire du temps, c'est-à-dire le trou noir, et donc la procession vers ce trou noir. Que restera-t-il, notamment de la connaissance?
And the question is, does all the information in that encyclopedia disappear irrevocably?
Obviously, I'm not competent in the area of the rigorous science at all, which is why the conversation is so interesting for me, to take things which for me are metaphoric leaps and discover that, in fact, the more you think about the metaphor, the closer you get to the deep science.
I began to think of the piece that we're working on as having three acts. A first act in which the imposition of absolute time is coordinated by the exchange of signals, by pulsing air under the streets of Paris, for example, in pneumatic tubes, or by the exchange of signals along telegraph lines. Or the second act would be the separation of time into Einsteinian twins, one going away and one staying at home. Or the third, the collapse of the idea of time in the black hole, which was supposed to annihilate space and time as concepts in some ways altogether. But in each of these moments, there's also a countervailing current, a kind of resistance. People who didn't want to have their clocks coordinated, who refused to accede to this imposition of an absolute time, or people who resisted Einsteinian time and the separation of different times for different twins, or the idea that many physicists have today that they don't want time to be destroyed in the black hole. They don't want the idea of information to simply vanish into a black hole, that somehow it must be preserved on the surface of the black hole horizon.
So the thinking about this universal archive was a way of connecting an image to time. And then when from that I came to be thinking specifically about the nature of time and our existence in it, which is to say thinking about our fate. And our fate, of course, is in the end our death. And our death is one way of thinking about the black hole that is so deep and so full of gravity that no trace of ourselves ever returns.
It's not a pedantic exercise. The idea is to take certain ideas about time and to play with them, to allow a certain freedom of association, to allow metaphors to play with metaphors, to allow different forms of expression, whether it's film or dance or music or ideas themselves, to reflect off one another. And so I hope that in the end it has a kind of lyrical quality to it.